Everyone's like, oh, look, here comes Pensy Joe bringing the Pennsylvania stuff because really test LED in the headlight, but we'll take this shit quite well by all. Regular combination, she's all that G at 10, proceed to 15. Hey everybody, this is Pensy Joe back again for another Train Talks, and today I have came back from yesterday from ETSU. There was a train show there. They do it every year on the 31st of May and the 1st of June, or pretty much the very last weekend and the very first weekend for June. And yeah, I found some cool stuff there. I didn't think I was going to find anything of interest, but I did. As you can see, I have a Paragon 2 K4, Broadway K4. It's in really good condition. Like, I don't really see any missing details or anything like that. This pilot step is over here. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to take off the shell and make sure it's plugged back into the pilot itself. This is my second regular K4 from Broadway. And yeah, I'm probably going to try and hoard Broadway Paragon 2 K4s. Really good generation. I have a Paragon 1 K4 1361 that already has firebox flicker, but it needs a new headlight LED because it's no longer working, unfortunately. So I will have to go back to that engine, making sure I'm checking everything. But I will have to go back to that engine and go and get a new LED for the headlight. Fortunately, at some point, 1361's gear may crack. I'm not sure if I can find another axle gear. Otherwise, I'm going to have to like get a parts engine at some point so I can replace that axle gear or replace the wheel set for that locomotive. But that's pretty much it for that. I mean, this is a really nice locomotive. This is a 1950s appearance, K4. Basically post-war, has a solid pilot, and it has right here it has the platform for the firebox. And at some point, I'd like to get like a kit or to put like an air tank, like an M1 like air tank under the platform, so that it would look more interesting. That make some of my K4s look different. But yeah, I'm really interested in this locomotive. I can't wait to do a project on this TCS WOW project. I'll do a video on the Paragon 2 version, although it's not too different from the Paragon 1 version. There is some differences when it comes to the cable that goes in between the locomotive and the tender. And the next locomotive I got is a Paragon 3 I1SA. This one is missing the front number plate on the firebox door. It's not a huge deal. I got it for $160, so compared to what you would probably find on eBay, people probably ask a lot of money, and they would be missing like the number board in the front. What am I going to do about that? I could find another one or find a parts engine, or I can, I think I know a couple people who might be able to help me make a new custom one so I can put it on front of this locomotive. And I don't have this road number. It's 4291. This one is the pre-war version where it has the headlight on front and not on top of the smoke box. And it doesn't have this the whistle smoke deflector. And it has this version has the painted cab roof with a dark brown, or it's like a reddish brown. And then we got the short tender again. I'm glad I got another short tender. And this one has marker lights, but I don't believe they activate at all. These are just regular jeweled marker lights, which is unique. I like to have something different. I will upgrade this TCS WOW sound at some point as well. And I have 4 decapods. But there'll be a lot of ore and coal hauling on this railroad, so I think it makes sense to have a good amount of decapods. I'm not sure if it still has a stock motor. I don't even know what the motor looks like inside here. I don't know if it's like the Paragon 3, like 3-pole motor that the J1 has, or the L1, or if it's like the one like the K4 streamlined version has, or the T1 from the Paragon 3 era, where it looks like a 5-pole, but it's a 3-pole inside. Those motors had issues, and the decoders couldn't do a really good job supplying the amperage to that kind of motor. Hopefully I don't have this issue when I do a TCS WOW install for this, and it doesn't draw too much amperage. Otherwise, I'm going to have to spend $30 for another motor, and that's not a big deal for me. I can get another motor and just replace it myself. It's not a big diggy. No biggie for it. Oh yeah, and the K4 I got for $235. The seller who was selling it was trying to sell it for $275, and I was like, well, I could do $200 because I plan on gutting the locomotive out. And he's like, can you do $255? And I'm like, well, how about $225? And he's like, how about this, $235? I'm like, okay, that's not too bad of a deal. And $235 for this is not a bad deal. For the condition that it is, it's pretty good condition. That's not a bad deal in my book. I know people who've gotten better deals for Paragon 2 and just found them and snatched them up. I don't know if they had to fix anything, if I don't recall, but they got them for like less, some of them for like less than $100, which is kind of insane. But hey, people can find good deals, and that's fine. As long as it's under $300 for K4s, especially Broadways, especially anything that's older than Paragon 3, I think that's a good deal. Some people are just asking too much for K4s these days. So I think the best way for you to get like a Broadway K4, either it's post-war or pre-war, Paragon 2, Paragon 3 you can get. I would recommend replacing the motor right away with the latest motor that Broadway has personally. You don't have to. It's just my personal recommendation because I don't have a lot of trust for Paragon 3 motors that look like the 5-pole motors in terms of the shell, like around the motor itself, the copper windings around the core. So if you have train shows nearby, go to them, see if you can bargain down. It's always good to bargain, see what you can get with that. This one was going for $180. I got it for $160. So train shows, guys, are pretty good. People are trying to get rid of stuff. People on eBay, you can bargain with them, although they're more likely in the long run to try and snatch someone who is like doesn't really care, and they just want to. They don't care how long it takes. They'll charge like as much as the latest version was MSRP, or even more. Sometimes it really is insane. Yeah, I would avoid those unless you can find a deal on eBay where you can get a good deal. I mean, there were times where I saw a Paragon 2 K4 for $200, and I was like, But I wanted to go to a train show and save money for a train show and see what I can get. So I feel like I got two nice engines. I didn't think I would find Pennsylvania, but I did. Next up, I got this $12 flat car. It's a Bachmann flat car. It's an ATSF flat car. I think this is a 60 foot flat car. It's most likely a 50 foot. And I plan to get 20 more flat cars. It doesn't matter what road, as long as it's right around the post-war era kind of flat car. That's all that matters to me. And I don't want like stakes or anything. I don't want bulkheads. I just want flat cars like this. And the reason why I want to get flat cars like this is I'm going to be making a World War II military train. That is right. I like the military train idea, and I think it would be cool to have a military train for my layout and when I go to the club, because Tennessee is the volunteer state, as it's known as. And I think it would be fitting to have a military train, for my region. It would be pretty cool. And yeah, at my former club, we had a military train that would run on the fair, and guests loved it. I mean, it's a great attraction to have a military train. So I was like, you know what? I like to make my own. And there are a number of items on eBay I'm watching for military equipment, and They are hand painted, so people are like, well, why don't you do it yourself? And it's like, well, it's only take too much time. And some things I don't want to put too much effort in. Like we all have our own preferences of what we want to put a lot of effort in and which we don't. For me, when it comes to like making, loaded freight cars, for example, I don't want to put like too much effort. Unless I want to do super detailing or something like that. It depends on what it is what I'm going to do with it. For locomotives, one of my super detailed locomotives that I done uh, is I think my first super detailed locomotive that I done was my Tri-Rail F40PH from the Walthers train line, where I added grab irons and I drilled in holes to do marker lights, the emergency lights, and ditch lights and all that stuff. So that was my first one. It was a fair success. I feel like if I can get some light piping, it would be good. But yeah, this is my haul. I only got like 3 items. There were other people who were selling flat cars, but like I wanted to sell in bulk and try and get like a value where I can get like 10 cars or like 20 cars for like $10 a piece. So that would save me money, and I don't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money. And nobody really had more flat cars than like a couple, like less than 5, most of them. That's like, shoot, man. So I mean, most of the cars there were like box cars, obviously, hoppers, and I think some stock cars. But and obviously they got the auto rack cars and like the well cars for the containers, the intermodal trains, and all that stuff. But not a lot of flat cars. Flat cars seems to be not the season, I guess, for model trains to be sold, especially online. New products as well. I don't see really a lot of flat cars, which is kind of a shame. On eBay, there's like people who are selling flat cars, but they want like close to $40 a flat car. Even a Bowser flat car is like 30. They're around $30. I'm like, you guys are nuts, man. Like, I'm sorry, but actually no, I'm not sorry. Fuck that. You guys are asking too much money, man. Like, it's ridiculous. So that's what I got there, and something arrived on Friday. We got this stealth. My first stealth locomotive, finally. Broadway Limited Sharknose A unit, PRR 2003A. So this is my first one. This is a small box, and I like this. It's pretty much like the Paragon 3 era box. I like this. Ooh, and it's got to squeeze it out. There we go. Pretty interesting. It's got a warming label. That's good. It's for stupid people who don't know what they're doing. HO scale stuff coming soon. I like this. I got this from a seller on eBay. He was selling it for $169. That's not too bad. But I also pre-ordered an A powered DCC ready. Look, it's the same thing. They only offered one road number. And I pretty much got 2003 A units, so it doesn't matter. They're going to work together always, anyways. We got some business cars and some combines. I pre-ordered a set. I know some people are going to like, oh, why did you do that? Well, I wanted some P70s. I wanted to get the 1950s version. I think it got 1950s or 1940s. One or the other, probably 1950s. And I pre-ordered one like single like business car, Z74D. It's the one that has the full like turtle shell roof. I think that's going to be a unique piece compared to what Bachmann has and whatnot. I mean, Bachmann has made these, but they're less detailed and they're older and whatnot. Rather old. Some of them are like 20, 30 years old. And you can get them for cheap as well. But if you want something that has more details and stuff like that and more lighting functions and just like, the interior lighting, I'm pretty sure these will be fair priced. I mean, they're around $70, so they're actually kind of high. But you could probably find them used, or you can probably get a discount on a certain store or whatever. I pre-ordered mine in Train World, pretty much. So some people are like, well, I might look. I want some of the nicer stuff. I want some of the more higher detailed stuff. And some people say that, the P70. And there was one guy who told me, my friend of mine, he's like, if you want P70s, they're probably like $40 match, and I have to agree. Although I can get a set, I'm like, set for whatever price, and I was like, okay, I'll do that just to have something different and new. And I'll probably try to find more P70 so I can do like a either a business train or like a commuter train, kind of like the banker special. And the banker special is it's historically significant because of an accident, but that's not the reason why I'm getting it. It's because of a commuter train that would be on the Northeast Corridor. Um, there was a GG1 there. It was a Paragon 1 GG1. It was one that I would like to buy, but I don't really want something that old. I have seen videos where people start getting cracked gears because it's that early era. And eventually everything wears out, guys. I just want something that's rather newer than older. And for the price, it was not worth it. If it wasn't under like $200 or anything like that. And I got two Paragon 3 GG1s for like $160. So, you know. And eventually I'm going to convert those to TCS, guys. And you're like, well, there's no electric, TCS decoder. I'm like, well, just mute the prime mover, pretty much. Just mute the prime mover sound. And that's probably what I'm going to do with the electrics. I'll have to play with the diesel decoders once I work on more diesel locomotives. And then I'll do that. Figure that out. SD70s. I'm going to make a video about Broadway's actual Blunder. I made a video earlier that was kind of a joke about the S1. And if you watch the video, or if you watch the video and watching this one, I actually talked a lot of cool stuff about it. I will do an update video about that. There actually is some issues. The wheels on the, I'll show you. The wheels are interesting. I'll just leave it at that. SD70 Aces. Yeah, I want to do a video about this, but you know what? I might as well get it out of my way now because it's not really that much of a discussion. BLI's actual Blunder is, modern diesels, honestly. Some people are like, well, why would you say that? I mean, look, you got these unique, heritage units and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, but Athearn Genesis makes them. I'm pretty sure Scale Trains is going to make them at some point. Here's the thing. Why do you need another manufacturer when multiple manufacturers already? Even Walther's Mainline has made SD70s, and some of them in unique schemes as well, heritage schemes as well. And I'm pretty sure they'll do heritage schemes again at some point. It's just they and especially here's the biggest offender: the Evolution, the GE Evos. Broadway makes the Evos, and it's like, why? You got Intermountain, that's one. Intermountain's one. Athearn Genesis, that's two. Scale Trains, that's three. Bachmann, that's four. Right? That's four manufacturers already. And now you got Walthers. That's five manufacturers who make GE Evolutions. It's insane. It's insane. And here's the thing, guys. I hate to tell you this, but these are fairly overpriced compared to the competition. For example, for a DCC Ready, I got a DCC Ready Norfolk and Western Heritage unit, Pennsylvania Heritage paint, and it was $200, just about $200. DCC and Sound you can probably get for less than $300, maybe $270, right, at retailers. But here's the thing, Broadway's is $300 or more, it's more than $300. It's insane. And people are like, well, it's got a smoke unit. Why you have a smoke unit in a plastic body diesel? Even if it's not plastic body, right? Why do you need smoke in such a narrow bodied locomotive? Here's the thing, guys. I went to from the train show this weekend. There was barely anybody running anything that had smoke units. I mean, the only thing that had smoke units were Broadway engines, and there was only 3 or 4 Broadways that probably had smoke units in them. And one of them was a GS4, and he wasn't even running the smoke unit because he plans on swapping it over to ETSU or TCS. So I think he said he was going to leaning towards TCS, swapping it. And another gentleman had a T1 Paragon 3 era. He plans on ESU swapping it, and and one other guy's got a Paragon for Commodore Vanderbilt, and yeah, it was actually the Commodore Vanderbilt was the only thing that I saw was smoking. So, and everything else didn't really have any smoke, and that's fine. Like, to be honest, and I talk with people, I talk with a lot of people. I'm like, do you think smoke's really necessary for HO? And a lot of them say, not really. Like, what's like people about people like what's the good benefit of it? And it's like it looks cool, and everyone's like, people are laughing. Like, yeah, but it's like, there's issues that can happen from it and whatnot. And some people will swear to the last day, like, I never had issues. That's fine. I get it. However, I guess other people just don't want too many complications to happen. I mean, I'd rather do more lighting functions than have something that could, leak inside and then, fry the board or something that's in the locomotive. It's just, yeah, it's just one of those things. Or melting boiler syndrome. And this one doesn't have melting boiler syndrome. This Paragon 3 locomotive, I think this is yeah, this feels like plastic. The smokestack's plastic. So yeah, this guy's getting gutted out. I mean, I'm going to gut all my Broadway engines anyways. If TCS comes out with a steam turbine, sound file, I'm gutting out my S2. It is the way it is. I don't care if I devalue it or whatever. Some people actually say it increases value. um, so yeah. But anyways, let's look at this. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna do a review of this at some point. Not now. Because mainly it's just I don't have the decoder yet. But I will say that I have opened up the locomotive when I first got it to see what's going on with the DCC Ready board, and it is pretty cool. However, I recommend for Broadway, if for some reason they ever watch this video, probably not, but if they do, I recommend doing a version 2, like this is the A board. When you do your B version, please add soldering pads for positive and negative for keep alive. So, because you only have the pin, I'm sorry, but you missed the final step of making this a perfect DCC ready offering. That's my only gripe about DCC ready for Broadway's stealth line. The only gripe is that some people are like, well, there's there's how tos and how to solder it to the base of that 3-pin board to put it like a Go Pack from Broadway. And I guess that's Broadway's thing. Is like, here, you can get the Go Pack. You can buy our Go Pack because it's already plugs in. It's like, 2 steps forward, kind of not really 1 step back kind of situation. I think all you have to do is just slightly redesign the board so it can have 2 soldering pads for a plus and minus for aftermarket capacitors, or if you make your own custom, just to make it simpler, make it easier, just to make it easier for people to just do it, and they don't have to pretty much kind of mutilate the board a little bit just to have what they want soldered down. Because honestly, the most people who buy DCC ready are going to put TCS, Tsunami, or even ESU in their locomotives. So, just food for thought for Broadway. When you do an update for your DCC ready board, or if you can do it as soon as possible, just add 2 soldering pads. That's it. That's all you need for to keep alive. So I don't have to do this crazy thing. So I got the single stripe shark. I got a 5-stripe shark, and now I got a single stripe. I'm gonna have an ABA of these. At first, I was wanting to get an ABBA, but I'm like, okay, I want something different than just an ABBA, but the single stripe version of the sharks. And the paint job's really nice on this. I mean, this is if you want a RF16, guys, get the Broadway one. Don't get the Bachmann one. I mean, you can, you do what you want to do. I just recommend this. I recommend these a lot. These are really nice. Broadway makes really nice sharks. I hope they make a BP20. But yeah, back on that whole rant about Broadway's mistake with just making modern diesels. Just look at Broadway's offerings of the modern diesels that they have, and I'll say go as far back as go as far back as I wouldn't say GP20s because nobody really makes the GP20s right now, so that's fair. I can understand the GP20. The ones I don't understand, like I said, the Gevo SD70 to a certain extent. I mean, I know that they're making a diecast body version, which is cool, and it's gonna have smoke, yada yada yada. But why? When I'm pretty sure Scale Trains is going to make a SD70 at some point soon, or if not, I'm not keeping track of Scale Trains and stuff lately, so correct me if I'm wrong. At some point, they'll make SD70s. They'll probably make the SD70 Tier 4. I think Athearn's making the SD70 Tier 4. I saw somebody about making it. Correct me if I'm wrong, obviously. If not, that's fine. I mean, I'm okay if I'm wrong. It doesn't really bother me. I'll just, it grows to my understanding of the world and how things are and what's going on. Because it's just too much to keep track of, honestly. I mean, that's why I usually talk about Broadways, because, it's not because I'm not a fanboy of Broadway. I've stated this before. I have a lot of criticisms about Broadway, and I'm glad that they're slowly going away. My criticisms. I'm glad that they have a DCC ready offering, and I'm glad that the first people who want to get a $39.85 from the Collectors Club thing, you can get it for like $250 DCC ready. Like, that's incredible. Like, you can get like a Challenger, right? You can get a DCC ready Challenger for $250, and it's a die-cast body. It's wild. And I'm glad that a lot of people came out who are UP fans, came out to buy the DCC ready Challenger. It's pretty cool. It's definitely cool, and I hope that the next Broadway thing. I think that here's the thing, guys. Like, I'm not going to be just here saying I'm excited for next product. I have criticisms for their Conductors Club as well. I mean, it would be nice to have more than one exclusive offering. I don't know if it's economically viable. I'm guessing it's not, because it's doing limited runs, kind of like what they're doing with this Conductors Club thing, where they have like two models that are unique paint schemes, or they have unique decals on them or something like that. I don't know. I think with those, it's I think it would be cool to have more than one, at least two. I think at least two would be better. Because one for the year, and it's just one road, and you just like it kind of makes the whole Collectors Club thing not as worth it. If it was four like unique offerings of something completely different for each, let's say Pennsylvania Union Pacific, right? Well, let's say this year they did the Union Pacific Challenger, they brought back the K4, right? And people are like, well, hopefully it's not 1361 or something like that. I'm like, look, if I can get 1361 brand new, DCC ready, and it's basically like the version that will, like, I don't know if they'll make the version of of 1361 when it's restored. I don't know how. It'll probably look like it's just gonna look like a 1950s post-war. I mean, you're not gonna be able to see the difference of the shape of the firebox. So, or like 3750. I mean, same thing. It's the same thing as 1361, but just, well, not in happy condition. They could do a gloss version, I guess. I don't know. Or they can do a K4, a unique K4 that had, like I said, I want to do a project where you can put like the air tank, like the M1B had, and M1A under the pilot platform that's attached to the boiler, to the smoke box. So, that, and then they could do that. All they could do is it can have like a glued thing under like the platform, or have it molded with the platform, and then just it clips on into, or it's glued into the smoke box door. I mean, you don't have to change any of the tooling really much at all, if any. So I would buy that. It's a unique locomotive, right? I don't know. No, they can't. They can't put a train phone. They can't put a train phone on the reel, unfortunately. But and they can bring back the long tender. The long tender or whatever, and they can have like a whatever. To bring back the long tender as they as an exclusive or whatever. And I know people don't like the exclusivity stuff. I get it. Um, Although for $30 and you can like buy multiple DCC ready model engines for around 250 bucks, that's incredible. I think $30 would be worth it if there was 4 offerings per year. If you like say you do Pennsylvania, Union Pacific, Southern Pacific maybe, or like who else? CNO, right? They do like I don't even know if there's any CNO like diecast engines. I don't think so. No. There's only like 3 CNO engines that Broadway has done, and they're all brass hybrids. You got the L1 Hudson, you got the K2 Mikado with both tender variants, and you got the J3A. So that sucks. I mean, that's one of the other large modeling communities, CNO. And at some point, if they do a die-cast body B&O, they can do a unique B&O one where they have the B&O blue, or I don't know, I forgot what the color blue they had. There's a special name for it. It's kind of funny, I think. But yeah, something, so just besides the Challenger, and hopefully not the big boy next year. I don't know, unique big boy. Bring back a K4 L1. I mean, people are like suggesting, why don't you do like a K4 or L1 because L1 hasn't been done for a long time. I would, to be honest, I would prefer the L1 over the K4 because likely they're going to do 1361. And a lot of people should get 1361. Like, that's like a commercial, like, that's like a full run thing they should do with the K4 again. And it really should be done. I say they should do it sometime in the future, probably close to when, 1361 is getting restored and it's almost ready to go. I think would be the perfect time. Same thing with the T1. They don't have any plans for that. So my guess is that it makes sense that they do another run of K4s and Pennsylvania T1s when it's closer to when their respective real life prototypes are close to being finished, being built and restored. So yeah, an L1 would be good. I don't think they're going to do anything that's plastic body anymore. I think plastic body steam is over, guys. It's over. There's no more plastic steam unless they do a rerun at some point. I don't think they're going to do plastic body steam engines anymore. So I don't expect any plastic body steam engines to be limited time offers. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Anywho, guys, that's pretty much it. Other than that, I think the whole Blunder thing with modern diesels, especially the SD45, like look them up. Look up all the more like the Gen 3s and 4s and like the current diesels and whatnot. Like compare them to how many other companies do them. And I know, think of it like this: that's too much competition, especially the Evo. Like that's oversaturated. That's very oversaturated. That's too much. Um, the only thing I would probably like, the only diesel I'd probably say is warranted is the 6000, the GE like AC 6000, because nobody else really makes that unless Scale Trains makes that at some point. I think they should. I think Scale Trains should make the AC 6000. They would, and I think Athearn Genesis maybe made one. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't do modern stuff that much, so I can't really tell you everything, guys. I'm sorry. I could have done some research, but it's just I'm just going in general about it. Same thing with the GP40s, like Alice. No, did they make? No, they made the GP30 and the GP35. Other companies have made them. Like I don't really, and then they're overpriced, guys. I'm sorry, they're just overpriced. Scale Trains is like Scale Trains' GP30 is cheaper than Broadway's with DCC and sound. Even with DC ready, DCC ready, it's I don't I think that was a huge blunder. Those two diesels. I'm sure people will buy them. That's fine if you like him because you prefer Broadway. Fine, but like think about it, right? There's other brands that already done this already. I mean, like seriously, they already done this. And I'm not saying it's just one company do it. There's more than one that has done it in the past 10 years. And even now, I mean, the GP30 from Broadway and the scale trains just happened at the same exact time, man. Like, but I'd argue most people probably bought the scale trains version. I don't have the numbers. I'd have to ask. I'd have to do like a survey or something, get some more information to see if that's true. But like think of it. Like seriously, like why? Imagine they could have done BP20s, and they could have done fantasy schemes like they did with the RF16s. There was only like a few railroads that had RF16s, and we're all Northeast. But imagine they did the RF16 with the Whisker like Santa Fe scheme. They also did this SP, and they did Conrail. They never made it to Conrail, but it's cool. It's still cool. Like they're cool. People buy them, man. Like I'm fine with that. I'm fine because it's fine to do a what if with diesels like that because they're not very specific like steam engines, right? Unless that railroad owns like a subsidiary railroad or something like that. BP20s, the very long 80-foot shark noses that were 6 axles. Those things are cool. They sucked in real life, but they're still cool in model form. And this is model trains, guys. Anything can happen. The real life prototype sucks, but they're really cool and fun and awesome and HO scale. So, or in any scale in that matter. It's just like we could have gotten like those baby face like 4-axle Baldwins. Heck, we could have had a competition to Rapido's FA2s. We can also see like them bring back the the PAs, the Alco PAs. Heck, we could see like the DL109s, A and B units. Like nobody makes DL109s. Walther's only done it for mainline, and they haven't done them again. And they haven't made the B unit for DL109, the DL110. Like, come on. Like, well, what the heck? I'd like to get a Southern DL109 and DL110, or a Fantasy Pensy one. Like, they're diesels. Anybody could have bought them back then. If you want to do some flexing with history a little bit with your railroad, have some fun. There's so many diesels. There's just so many diesels that they like vintage diesels. Erie belts. Nobody makes Erie belts. Yes, they suck, but they're cool in model form. They're just unique. They're beautiful. They look cool. Same thing with C-liners. Alice has the C-liners, but no, they got to do the MP36. Well, I like the MP36s. All right, relax. But it's like nobody's doing the C-liners, and then Athearn, people are clamoring Athearn to make more vintage diesels, and Athearn's like, yeah, we hear you. We're working on it. Meanwhile, you got these modern diesels, and recently they came out with this industrial switcher that most of the public do not see at all. And I'm wondering, really? It's just like, I mean, it's cool. I'm not saying it's lame or stupid, but like, if the public can't see it, and it's usually on private property, and it's behind like walls that you can't see, it's like, unless you're like in the know. I don't know, man. Like, I'm thinking, like, what's the point? It's like, what is the point? I mean, it's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. This is cool stuff that Athearn is making. But, like, people want C-liners, People want all this stuff. And that's part of the Broadway problem is that Broadway is, like, the only company that's catering to the vintage, equipment crowd. Like, there's a lot of young people. I got to a train show, guys. There's someone who modeled like an M4 class Norfolk and Western. That's a brass model. He painted it, weathered it, and put like TCS Wow sound in it. All by himself. He's a young guy. He's younger than me, most likely too. It's like there's other young guys who are driving steam engines. Like a lot of young people are riding around with steam engines. It's probably like 50-50 if people, young guys, running steam and or modern diesels. It's a mix of both. And there was a guy with an auto train, like the old the white, red, and purple auto train. I thought that was cool too. like, it's just such a great hobby. And then everybody else is just either making modern stuff, and you got Broadway over here in the corner monopolizing on steam era stuff. Mostly Pennsylvania, I know. So everyone's rolling their eyes when it's like Pennsylvania and stuff. I get it. I understand because most of my products are Pennsylvania from Broadway. Like all my steam engines are mainly from Broadway. Why? Because I don't want to deal with brass that much. It's not that hard. I understand. I mean, that's why I'm working on the BP20s first to see if I really like it or not. One, because Oriental Limited models are not really hard to work on to convert to DCC. Because I've talked with brass modelers during the show about the difficulties, and they said they're not that hard. Oriental Limited, Key, Sunset, and some of the other models. It's just that's just the thing. And I don't want to paint, and I don't want to paint unless if I can. Like, here's the thing, right? Let me give you an example of what I would like to paint and what I would like not to paint. If I can get a model, like for example, a Broadway K4, in correct colors, I'm gonna buy that rather than having to buy a brass one and paint it myself. Because this is already available. It saves me time. I can't make a Pennsylvania ES44 Evolution. You have to paint it. So I'm going to have to get spray paint to get DGLE from True Color, spray paint it, and then I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do it like this, where it's just a number, the keystone, and whatever that thing right below it is. And same thing with the keystone in the front and the back. That's what these ES44s are going to look like. People are going to be wondering, why are you doing this? I've already made a video about the history of the Pennsylvania and Atlantic Railroad, okay? Check that out, and you'll get the full details. And, it's just, that's the main reason why I got, like, these undecorated locomotives, is because nobody makes them, so I gotta work on it. Another good example, that Challenger I'm working on is a Columbian Bay and Western. It's an undecked Challenger, UP Challenger from Athearn Genesis, QSI MRC decoder era, and you've probably seen it running around the layout in a video that I made. If not, oh yeah, I did a TCS WoW install for it, obviously, and I had to custom paint that. Is it great? No. It's not perfect. I do need to work on the tender paint a bit, and I need to do some black touch-up paint on the locomotive so that there's no yellow paint bleeding everywhere. Same thing on the driver wheels and all that stuff. And that's my first custom locomotive. I plan on doing more Columbian Bay and Western. If you want to know more about Columbian Bay and Western, I'll do a future video about the Columbian Bay and Western. It's a fictional railroad that's very similar to the Clinchfield that would be around the same era, but probably a little bit south from the Clinchfield. And that railroad, I'll do a future video on that. It's from my former club that had it as a fictional railroad. And that's the thing, guys. It's just that there's certain things I'd rather paint on and things I don't. If it could save me time and it's available, I'll get that. And some people are like, well, I get it. Everyone has their own preferences, and that's fine. At the end of the day, are you happy with it? That's all that really matters. Am I happy with buying a Broadway engine and putting TCS? I enjoy the hardwiring, actually. Although I'd like to not have to have too many projects, and I'd like to save some money. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be spending around the same amount of money anyways, trying to get what I want. But unless it's already sound and it's brand new, if it's brand new sound in DCC, right, all that stuff, I'm actually spending more money, putting DCC and sound and stuff that already has the Paragon stuff. I have to spend more because the DCC ready is $100 cheaper, around there, right? $50 to $100 cheaper. So I'm actually spending less to get DCC ready locomotives and adding Keep Alive and decoder. So again, it's all about preference. If you like the smoke stuff, I don't mind. That doesn't bother me. For me, I don't like it. I try to I want to tell people who don't really want to deal with a bunch of crap. I want to inform them, well, this is possibly what you can see, and it can lead to X, Y, and Z, or or it could lead to the same results no matter what if it's X, Y, or Z. Um, and I've been wrong about things. People have pointed that I'm wrong about things. Some people say, look, Bachman's pretty great. Well, you know what? I got classic K4 from Bachman, the first, not the first run, but like the Spectrum line when they had the first time with the windows for the K4s. They can pull. They have great motors. But then sometime after that, like even the regular like blue box, like modern blue box and red box line, they're like they for some reason they chose to get weak motors and they can pull like squat. Like why? What? Why? Just why? You know? I mean, just why? And I heard the New York Central that Bachmann engine that they brought out, the Hudson. I heard that could pull a fair amount of coaches and probably a fair amount of cars, and that's good. They need to do more of that motor, please. And Bachmann needs to up their game on steam engines. Like they used to have a wide variety of spectrums. They only like do like one or two, like one a year, that's brand new, or like, and then you just have the regular line, usuals, your nickel plates, your 4449 GS4s, and your what's the other one? The J, like, God, those are old toolings, guys. Those are old toolings, and if you want one of those, might as well get a Scale Trains, Broadway, something that has a die-cast body or something that can pull, something. Um, that's just a thing. I mean, Bachmann has made some really nice models, and you can customize them too. I recommend looking about Bachmann, old Bachmann Spectrum. Their steam engines were great. They're absolutely great. In terms of quality and longevity, they're pretty great. There are probably some that had issues. I've heard stuff about the Shays, so do your research. Obviously, I can't tell everybody everything because I'm not gonna always have it in my head at the time. All right, so this is getting close to 50 minutes long, and I'm pretty sure everybody's like, okay, that's enough. I agree, that is enough. So yeah, this is my haul. This is my whole thing with the Broadway's Blunder with modern stuff and future projects. My first stealth locomotive. Can't wait to do stuff in this and do a review on it. For me, the stealth is the way forward. That's just how I am. Anyways, guys, this is Pensy Joe signing out again. I'll see you guys down the line in the future video. You all have a great day. Bye now.
By the shore, hear the mighty rush of the engine, hear the lonesome hobo squall, riding through the jungle on the Wabash Cannonball. Now here's to Daddy Claxton, may his name forever stand, and may he be remembered in the courts throughout the land. When his earthly race is over, let the curtains round him fall. We'll carry him home to victory on the Wabash Cannonball. Oh, listen to the jingle, the rumble, and the roar, as she glides along the woodland to the hill and by the shore. Hear the mighty rush of the engine, hear the lonesome hobo squall, riding through the jungle on the Wabash Cannonball.